Hello, this is Rocque of King Diamond, and you're listening to Heavy Demons.
So, dear Andy, what's going on at Sonic Train Studios?
Sonic Train Studios, yeah. Actually, I'm doing the final touches with the live stuff that's going to be released later this year with King Diamond, and it's in the final phase now, so it's not a lot of things left, actually. And other than that, I'm working with Neil Turbin, the ex-Anthrax vocalist. I'm working with his stuff. And there's actually a lot of things going on, small things going on in the studio, but it's very hectic.
Yeah,
but mainly, for the last couple of months, I've been working with this live DVD thing with King Diamond.
Yeah, and we've also seen a pic with Mickey D's son on drums.
That's right.
He
was pretty good, actually. You can tell who was the teacher.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. That was really cool, man. He was good. He was in the studio for 1 or 2 days with his band called Apollo, and Mickey was, of course, there to supervise everything and made sure that everything was played right, and sounded right and all that. That was cool.
Yeah, and are you working on the new King Diamond album as well?
Yeah, actually, I talked to King last night, and he has some great ideas for the next album, when it comes to the story and all that, He's got a lot of ideas already, lines and rhymes and all that, and I was actually surprised to hear, how far he's gotten with that. And so far, I got a few, I would say, not complete songs, but I got a few songs and a lot of riffs that we're going to try out for the next album, So we have started. It's just a matter of time, to get everything rolling. And I would think about in a month or so, I will fly over to King in Dallas and make sure that everything works the way it should when it comes to his recording gear. He's got his own recording studio. So I'll fly over there, make sure everything works, and start to set everything up so he can start composing songs on the computer.
Yeah. And how do you feel about the evolution of the technology of recording, mixing, and mastering? I mean, you can work in Sweden and King in Texas.
Yeah, I think it's great, man. I mean, a good computer and a good sound card, and you get far with that, of course, But then still, if you need to record drums and, you need a good room, and you still need good guitar amps and a good engineer, that's where I come in.
Yeah.
And of course, a good producer. I mean, I get a lot of, home recordings. Some sound good, some doesn't sound that good, So, I mean, it's both ways, It's really good that is so easy, accessible, if you know what I mean. It's, of course, great because everyone can record. It's really cool. And that, in a way, gives me more job, too, because people send me mixes and stuff, and they want me to sometimes save their recording, and sometimes just make a good mix out of it, So that definitely is a good thing.
When did you start to work as a producer?
I think it actually was somewhere around 1992 or 93. I bought some simple, recording equipment like a 4-track portable recording studio, and started just to, record my ideas. And then people said, "Wow, that sounds really good, and can you maybe record me, on a couple of my songs?" And I did that, and then, that got me some inspiration to get some better gear and more tracks and more channels and all that, So after a couple of years, I got a 24-track tape machine and 32 channel mixing console, and I started from there, So it was actually because of bands and musicians around my area that
Yeah.
thought it sounded really good, and they wanted to do something with me. So that's how the idea was born.
Yeah. And which were like your main inspiration when you started out as a guitar player, and what music are you listening to nowadays?
Nowadays, in the studio, it's actually two different things. When I'm in the studio, I listen to a lot of heavy metal, but I'm
Yeah.
in the studio like 10 hours a day, so
Yeah.
of course it's a lot of heavy metal and hard rock and all that. And it can be anything from old stuff like Thin Lizzy, Black Sabbath, and the new Judas Priest to Testament, and of course, the bands I work with. Um, so it's very different. When I get home, it's totally different. I listen to, like elevator music, just some atmospheric music in the background. That's about it, because I need to rest my ears, when I get back home. Um, when I started to listen to music um, back in the 70s, I listened to everything from Sweet, Slade, Status Quo, Susie Quattro, Black Sabbath, Blue Oyster Cult, Uriah Heep, you name it. Everything that was like around at that time, back in 74, 75. And when it comes to guitar players that inspired me, that was probably one of my main influences was probably, I would say, Randy Rhoads, um, Steve Vai maybe, and a lot of guitarists around that era in that time.
Yeah. And how many like crazy memories do you have about touring and recording with King Diamond back in the 80s?
Oh man, some of the stuff is so crazy I can't even tell you, But I mean,
Okay.
when you were young and the first couple of tours, everything was crazy because that was a new experience, rolling around the U.S. and Europe too, for that sake, And we were young and hungry, We're still hungry on that, of course, But I mean, it was totally different back in the 80s, A lot of partying, and all that. So that's different now, I mean, you look at it in a different way now. I think you concentrate more on the music now
Yeah.
and everything that's around it.
Yeah.
So it's of course different, But it definitely was crazy back in the 80s. Yes.
Okay. And what shall we expect from like a tour, a King Diamond tour in Europe, maybe next year?
Yeah, we don't really know yet. We are checking the possibilities. So I can't say anything about that yet.
Mm.
We are checking the possibilities and just checking around what there is and what would be good for us and what areas we haven't been in before and all that. But I really hope that there's going to be a lot of shows next year, because we are not going to do one show this year. I mean, no shows 2018 at all. So 2019 is going to be very hectic. That's for sure. And I'm looking forward to that very much.
Yeah. And which suggestions would you give like to young musicians who want to start out a band in this weird digital era?
Yeah, it's weird, but I mean, what you can do, what I think is really, really important, get a good band together and rehearse and practice. Rehearse and practice, Don't give up. That's all I can say, I mean, you really got to fight, to be good as a musician.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was younger, I was in the rehearsal room with my band, I would say 6 days a week.
Oh my god.
And we had, all the equipment was in a small storage. So every night we had to put everything, on the floor where we rehearsed on a little kind of a stage kind of thing. And then after a couple of hours when we were done, we had to put everything back. Every night for several years, 6 nights a week.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's a lot of hard work, but I mean, that's the only way you can be a good musician.
Yeah, definitely. And do you have any favorite King Diamond album about the others?
I would say one of my favorites that always comes back to me is Abigail,
Of
because we caught a really good atmosphere on that album. The songs are really good. I like the sound of the album, the melodies, and the whole, I mean, atmosphere around the recording process was just spectacular, I think, you know. So if I just have to pick one, that's definitely my favorite King Diamond album.
Yeah. And are you like still in touch with Roberto Falcao, the producer back then?
Yes, I actually talked to him a few weeks ago. And who knows? Maybe he's doing some keyboard on the next album. We'll see.
Ah, that will be awesome. He was a
That'll
great,
be that'll be really really cool.
yeah, great composer, great producer as well.
Oh yes, definitely.
Yeah. And would you give like a final message and greeting to the Italian fans of Andy and King Diamond?
Yes, I really hope we'll be around to play for you next year. I really really hope to see you very soon.